Welcome into another edition of the Holt Naylor Show. On the other side of the break, the oldest college football player in America, but he's not from America. He's an Aussie. Luke Larsen joins the show. Hope you enjoy it. If not, as always,
Holt Naylor turns, and Holt will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holt Naylor's to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
it's showtime! We are back. Luke, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Let's go, man. So, what year is this? We were just talking about it all fair. So, you came in 2020. So, you're year 4, technically?
This is year 5, isn't it?
Year 5. Well, it's 2024. That's why my
Yep.
mom was just a little blown there.
2020 doesn't count, right?
2020 didn't count.
Yeah.
Didn't count for anybody.
So, your first time in America was COVID.
Yeah. So I got here January 8th. We started doing some stuff. You took me to the basketball one day.
Yeah.
And then, everything was shut down. I was stuck in an apartment 2.5 miles off campus. And everyone had left and went home. And I'm just stuck there looking after someone's dog.
Whose dog?
I think it was someone that quit the team that then palmed it off to like Tez and Joanne.
What?
And they went back to Atlanta. So I'm hanging out with this dog for 2 months.
So you're like, this is what America's about. This is
A bulldog. And it was just Will walking every day.
what the heck? I did not know that story.
No one knows that. That's my intro to like Greenville, North Carolina.
You still have the dog?
Well, no. So apparently they put up for rescue, and someone whose grandmother used to have the dog then rescued the dog. So like,
Back?
yeah,
She re-rescued the dog?
rescued the dog. Incredible story, and like it all happened. Like someone that knew me, someone put it on Facebook that there was this dog at the pound or whatever you guys call it here, the animal shelter. And someone's granddaughter was like, that was my grandmother's dog. The dog's name's Miley. We were calling it Gracie. So the poor dog had the wrong name, and like no one knew why it wasn't answering to anything, but it was my buddy. Like I love the dog.
That's crazy. I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't even think I'd talk about that right now, but it's happened.
Hey.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
How long did you spend with the dog?
2.5 months straight. Just
Wow.
me
It's
and
COVID.
me and Gracie, as I called him, Miley.
So what did you like? 'Cause, I mean, COVID was a weird time in general, and then like I couldn't imagine that being your first time in a country, because that was your first time, right? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what like was there ever a point you're like, dude, screw this, I'm going home, I'm going back to Australia?
Look, I don't think I ever thought like screw this, but there were like we got into fall camp. My mum passed away,
Yeah.
and I couldn't go home. When I say couldn't go home, there obviously coach doesn't want you to go home
Yeah.
because chance of not getting back into the country. And as an older person, I know that if you leave and that happens, then you've done the last year and a bit for no reason. So there was times where you kind of think, is this really all worth it? But I'm here 5 years later, and it is.
Dude, that's crazy. And I remember your mom passing away was like a big deal. I mean, obviously it's a big deal for anyone, but like being so far away, like how hard has it been, not just that situation, but just like everyone you knew was back in another country, hours and hours flight away. Like how hard was it for you to, I know you're older, but come into a new country and make a whole new life here?
That's part of it. Being my age and being who I am and working like I did, I didn't really spend that much time with my family anyway. You have your Christmases, your birthdays,
Yeah.
and like I'd say I'm close with my grandmother and my brother and my cousin, but that's it. So, it's one of those things, you move to a new country, things are kind of messed up. They're dealing with their own stuff with the way that Australia is dealing with it. And all of a sudden, it's not that you lose contact, but people change.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not. It's just people grow. And even myself, like I'm not as loud and as crazy as what I was. But still, I went back in May, and everyone's different, and I'm different. So that's the difficult part of it.
Yeah, I know, like, I mean, mine is nowhere close to yours, but when I moved to Seattle, like, it was very eye-opening to me, because, I mean, I'm from Greenville, played football here, obviously, and, like, it was very eye-opening to me, like, who I stayed in touch with, who was, like, intentional about staying in touch with me, because I'm terrible at staying in touch with, I really am. But, like, I'm the type that, like, if I see you and somewhere, we just, like, talk like we've seen each other, we've talked to each other forever, I'm just bad at it. But, like, when I was in Seattle, I'm sure you noticed the same things being here, like you said, is, like, people, you don't grow apart. It's just like you realize who's very intentional about being in your life daily or weekly or something, rather than but just because they're close or because you're far away and they actually care.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, go ahead.
I don't remember, and I bet a lot of people do remember. Some might not. What was Luke Larsen doing before 2020?
Yeah, so I was a national transport manager for a company that owned access hire equipment, so cherry pickers, forklifts, all types of different machinery that help you, have access. Like I think you remember when we had practice, we'd have those scissor lifts that would take up the cameras and all that. We had 750 machines of those, and I was in charge of the daily movements of that, and we probably had about 150 to 200 different movements a day. So I'd be in charge of about 150 truck drivers a day. Then I also when I say on the side, like my main thing with my family is we had trucks that did interstate transport. So I started that straight out of high school. Not gave my dad a job, but he drove my first truck that I had, and he's still doing that now. He owns that now. When I decided I was coming over here, I handed over the reins, signed it over to him, and he's got that going strong at the moment. But yeah, transport.
So when did American football come into the picture?
I was watching the 2000 and I think it was 18. Whenever the Eagles beat Patriots.
Oh, what year was that? 2018.
2018,
Yeah.
February 2018. I was sitting there with my mate Tom, who just came over for the FAU game, and we're sitting there. He's like, "I'm going to try punting." He goes, "I saw this thing." My mate from high school, Adam Corsack, who ended up winning a Ray Guy Award, played at Rutgers. He now plays in the Canadian Football League. Stud, right? He's like, "That guy just did it. He's just signed with Rutgers. I'm going to try it out." I'm like, "Oh, go for it, mate. You'll be right." And so he goes down, tells me that he gets accepted into the program and he's going to do it. He just might have to do some academic stuff that I should try out because, I had a bigger leg than him. And I was like, "I'm too old, mate. Can't happen." Like, stupid. Anyway, I find out I'm academically eligible. Didn't go to uni, so clock hadn't started. And, I had good grades, so I could pretty much get into almost any school over here. Now it just depended if I could kick a ball or not. So I was like, I'll walk down, have a crack. And I went down, kicked a couple of times. And then one day I'm with Tom again. And, he lived about an hour and a half away from where I'm from, which is Melbourne, which is the main base of Pro Kick. And I ran into a guy that I played junior football against, Australian rules football, not rugby. And at the time, he was the punter for the Philadelphia Eagles the following season. And he'd just, taken over from the guy that was there before. He's now with the Steelers. Broke his leg first or second game this year.
Ooh.
So he's having a rough trot, but, he's an absolute animal. Kicked the hell out of the ball. And I was kicking with him, and he's like, "Yeah, mate, you'll be fine. Like, I went to Ohio State. We won a national championship. You'll be great." And so I was like, "That's it. I'm going to do it." Handed the company over to my old man, quit my job, and started punting.
So what's the recruiting process like for that?
So Pro Kick is a program in Australia. They have about 5 coaches now, but when I was doing it, there was 2 coaches there. Nathan Chapman, who played with the Bears and the Packers for a little bit. He was a Australian rules football stud, like back in the 90s. And he's 50-something now, and he can still boot the hell out of a football better than I can. And he runs it. He teaches you how to punt. And then there's a guy, John Smith, who handles the academic side. So his background is in academics and learning and helping kids with disabilities learn. So he kind of got into the NCAA thing and working out the academic process for that. And basically between the two of them, one teaches you how to punt, one makes sure you're academically eligible, and they get you on the right path. And a coach from over here will call up and say, "Hey, I need this type of guy. Who have you got?" And, Pro Kick goes, "Well, these are the 3 guys that fit that criteria. Take your pick, like if you want one of them." And usually it's a phone call. And as I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." Whoever called up. I could have been at Houston Baptist, I think. But yeah, so that's the process for us.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So in that training you mentioned, it's school almost? Is it?
No, so there's no schooling involved. It's they determine your schooling that you've done. So your high school, if you've done some uni, all that type of stuff, and they help you get your paperwork in order to make sure that you're academically eligible. There's guys at the moment that may have gone to high school, but in Australia we have programs that help move you into, say, plumbing, electrical, building, carpentry, whatever it is. And those guys would, might have to go and do 2 years of JUCO or do a year of JUCO. So they basically sit there and tell you, well, this is where you stand with it. In the case of my mate Tom, he would have had to have done 2 years of JUCO, and that's not something he wanted to commit to. So, he got in and was in the program and then decided he didn't want to do it because couldn't financially, spend 2 years over here at a JUCO. Then there's people like me who are immediately like a qualifier. And that's how it works.
How has, your experience been at ECU, like in Greenville, compared to like what you thought it originally was going to be? Like, what was your, thoughts of, wow, this is going to be the new life I'm going to have, to compared to like now 5 years later, what it actually was?
Well, in saying that, like I'm sitting there and looking at the schedule when I first get a call and I see what was it, like 3-9 or whatever they were in 2018 or 2019, whatever it was, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I look at the future schedules online and I see in 2023 we're playing Michigan. I'm like, in my senior year we're playing Michigan, and that's all I knew. So I was like, I'm coming across to play at Michigan in 2023, and then I get here and everything shuts down. All of a sudden I've got 14 years of eligibility and, I didn't even play at Michigan.
That's crazy. You didn't play that game?
No. So we got a guy in from Mississippi State on scholarship. He had 4 good days in camp. He was kicking like 70-yard bombs. And then for 3 weeks I beat him out every day. And coach played him for the Michigan game. I was going to kick from, say, 55 and in. When I say 55, the opposite, 45.
Yeah.
And we went to do it, and Alex Flynn accidentally threw a interception, and I never went on.
I didn't even realize that. That's crazy right there.
Absolutely.
Damn.
So I was pumped up for that game, trained, dropped like 20 pounds. Like I was ready.
You came to ECU for that game.
For that game. And then I just got to watch everyone run around.
This podcast is brought to you by Worth Chiropractic, 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. Look, normal back and neck pain, if you sit at a desk all day, if you work out, you tweak your back. Look, there's so many things. Former athletes, current athletes, they certainly help me out a ton. Caden, call 1-800-BACK-DOC. We're big fans of Dr. Worth and his team.
Hey, you got a pain in your back? Dr. Worth will work it out.
And they have the best Christmas lights in town, or some of the best Christmas lights in town. They have good Christmas lights, so shout out to them. We love the Christmas spirit. Next, I want to give a shout out to Wayne Hardy Law, 1-800-INJURED, personal injury lawyer. Look, they're the guys that you want to be working for you if you've been in an accident. You're super popular. Get someone who treats you like family, that wins the deal and maximizes everything you deserve. Wayne and his team will treat you like family. That's the Wayne Hardy difference, 1-800-INJURED. Last but not least, Mattamuskeet Goose Club, baby. They got so many cool things coming out. Check them out on social media. Just look up Mattamuskeet Goose Club and their website. They have cool sales going on right now, too. They got hats. They got wallets, keychains, polos, golf. I mean, they got literally everything. Country, hunting, they got it all, Caden.
You're right, Holden. Mattamuskeet is great. I was up in the deer stand this past weekend. It was freezing. I had my Mattamuskeet hoodie on. I was cozy. Saw a big old buck. Didn't hit it, but I was warm while I did it.
You do not hunt, but you do wear Mattamuskeet Goose Club. That is hilarious. But, dude, their hoodie, I know you have one, too, though. I wear it in the house all the time. It's chilly season. It's hoodie season in the house. Me and my fiance Grace, we don't like putting on the heat. We're fighting it. It's like 52 in the house right now. Mattamuskeet Goose Club hoodie. I'm good, man. I'm good. So that's all I need. Clearly, I like it. I'm wearing their hat right now. Shout out to those guys for supporting the pod.
Who did call you when you were in that Australia punting camp?
Coach Houston.
That was it.
That was it. So crazy story. I think I've told this a couple of times, but it deserves another bit of
go for it.
Bit of a run. But so I'm not going to name which schools, but about 4 weeks before, SEC school calls up, gives me an offer. Done. I'm going.
This is recently, or
this is before I even spoke to Coach Houston back in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yep, done, going. Start sending to all my family, this is the school I'm going to. Huge, SEC stadium. I'm not going to say which school, but it was huge. And I'm told everyone, told my mate Tom, told everyone. Well, I get to practice on Tuesday, and this kid gets told to stand up and tell everyone, where he's going. He stands up and says it, and I'm sitting there going, hang on.
He says the school that you thought you were going to?
I'm like, I'm going. It must be another one. There must be another school near there that has the same sort of name. And I go up to, Johnny, and I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, shit, like, sorry, mate, we didn't tell you. You're too old, right? And they'd called back after they found out how old I was and said, nah, kid's too old. Give us a younger person. So all of a sudden, I'm not going to this school. 2 weeks later, I get an ACC school. Then they're dragging their feet for 2 weeks because they didn't want a mid-year guy. And I'm older, and I didn't need to stay in the pro kick program for any longer. I was kicking good balls. So I'm saying to Johnny, I'm like, if someone else pops up, I want to go there because I'm not waiting till what you guys call the start of the year, which is the fall. I need to go in January. Anyway, I think Coach Houston had just got the job here or had been here for 6 months or so,
Yeah.
and you guys were getting into fall. And I think he must have called and said, hey, who have you guys got for 2020 to start in August? And my coach, Johnny, was like, hey, look, I wouldn't normally say this guy, but, this guy's available if you can take him in mid-year. And so Houston apparently looked at the film and said, yep, we'll take the guy. My film was pretty good. Like, I was kicking people off. So like, that's understandable. But yeah, so then he calls me up. It's a Sunday morning for me at 4 a.m., 4:40. I'd been DJing all night the night before. I was on my way home. It was like an hour and a half drive from where I was. And I'd worked the day before. I'd coach women's football. I was coaching women's football at the time. And, I'd been awake for, I'd say, a good 42 hours. Like, I was pretty rough. I couldn't hear what he was saying. He's on the phone going, hey, like, we want to offer you for January. I'm like, sorry, mate, what'd you say? He's like, we want to offer you for January. We want you to come over to East Carolina. And he's like, I was like, yeah, cool. I'll catch you then. Can't wait, And he's like, oh, well, take a bit of time to, like, think about it and, let us know. And Johnny's on the phone as well. And he goes, hey, Mike, he's saying that it's all good. He wants to come there. This is done. Hey, Lasso, because that's my nickname. Go grab some sleep and we'll chat next week. I was like, all right. Didn't hear for 6 months. I didn't hear from anyone.
What?
There was a done deal. It was like, they're like, we've got this sorted. We don't need to talk to the guy. So I'm working and I'm like doing bits and pieces here and there. I'm doing temporary fencing for a mate. I'm doing forklift driving for another buddy. Like, it was what it was. And I'm like, am I still going to this place? And then I get a call from Coach Tesh. He's like, I don't even know what he said, but he said something. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't imagine being from another country and Coach Tesh calling.
Deep South accent. Had no idea what he was saying, but I could hear him. It's just, I couldn't work it out. I'm like, yeah, mate. Yep. He's like, all right. Talk to you later. I'm like, see ya. And then all of a sudden, it was the day before signing day in December. And I get sent an email saying, hey, sign this paperwork and send it back. I was like, oh, I'm going. Like, see you in 3 weeks. Like, it's crazy.
What did you bring over here? It was just a suitcase and
2 suitcases. All right. And I get here and Ryan Smith, who used to be the GA for special teams, picked me up from the airport. Had no idea who he was. He just was there and he got me and get here and I'm staying in the hotel at Hilton because apparently it was my official visit was the first night that I was here. And then the second night, it was just like, all right, you're in this apartment with Tez and Joanne at the landing. And someone's taking me to like Walmart.
Joanne Powell?
Yeah.
I could not imagine.
That is great.
I got a crazy story about Joanne.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Just like we were watching the college national championship, LSU and whoever, and started 2020. And he's talking to me for a solid 2 minutes. I'm staring at him like I'm sitting on the couch. He's standing up. And I just looked at him at the end of it. I was like, mate, I've got no idea what you just said. And he's like, man, Luke's funny. And just like walks off. And I'm like, I turned to Tez. I was like, I still don't know what he said. Still to this day, couldn't tell you.
Oh, that's good, man. So do you, what's your plan for post college football? Like, do you want to try to play pro ball?
I will play as long as someone's willing to let me play. I'll put it that way.
Let's go. And then after that, would you want to stay in America? I think you said you want to settle down in Greenville a little bit, right?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that it's not like I'll take anything that comes my way, but I like it here. I've spent now 5 years, and for someone who's normally a college athlete, they're 22, so that's, what's that, almost 25% of their life has been here, whereas, I'm a little bit older, so it's, a good 18% or something. But, like, that's been my life for 5 years. I went home to Australia in May, and it's different. So, I still love Australia, would love to go back there and all of that, but if I get a job and can settle here, I love this place.
Dang, dude, that's awesome.
What's like the biggest things you love about the U.S., and then what's the biggest things you like about Australia over the U.S.?
Okay, so here I just love the amount of sport there is.
Yeah.
And you can always see some sport, go to some sport. I'm a fanatic when it comes to sport. So, like, that's a main attraction for me. Down south here, my buddy plays at Ohio, so I've spent a bit of time up there in Athens, and just the difference in people as well. Like, Athens might be a little bit more similar to Australia or California when you think, like, if I was walking past you, down the street, g'day mate, how you going? Like, today I went to Chick-fil-A just to grab a chicken sandwich before I came here, And some guy looks at me, he's like, "You play football?" I was like, "Sometimes." He's like, "You're Larsen." I said, "Sometimes." And, it's just like being able to have a normal interaction, whereas like, go back to Australia and you go, "G'day, mate." And they're looking at you like, "Why are you talking to me? I'm not your mate." Like, keep walking. Whereas like Australians are very friendly. But, it's if you're walking down the street, everyone's still going to work, everyone's doing that. Whereas here, my experience has been everyone's just pumped to like say hello to someone.
Yeah, that is. It's like Southern hospitality is like actually you hear that from like Jack came from California and Nevada and was like, dude, that was like the first thing I noticed.
Absolutely,
So
love it.
So what about Australia? Do you like over the U.S.?
I'm not gonna lie, it's just because I grew up there. Like that's the way of life that I knew.
Yeah.
You say stuff like healthcare and whatever, but I never ever thought of like not being able to go to the doctor. I never thought of those types of things that people over here regularly have to think about. So I think it's more just the thought process of sitting here and going, hang on, we had it pretty good. Never really have any issues there. And that type of security is probably what I miss as a person sitting here thinking about it. But just in general, like I know where I can make money and do whatever I want in Australia, whereas like here, I'd probably have to have some buddies to help me.
Yeah. No, I feel that for sure. And then just like, I mean, you're the oldest college football player in America right now. Like you have a totally different experience, like kind of the same experience, but kind of different than like what me and Caden had and any of the teammates you had. Like, how has that been as like saying, like walking into a locker room as a freshman being like the old guy, and now you're like the old guy for real and you're the senior or whatever. Like, how has that been and how have you like navigated that?
Yeah, so that's the crazy part is like right now you think everyone that's there, they've been there for what, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
Like it's me, Rajay, and you say Tyler Savage and those guys, but they came 6 months after us. Like Rajay and I are the only ones that have been there other than Chad and Hampton, who is your group, as long as we have. So it's one of those things, like I don't see those guys that often because obviously specialists don't hang out. When I say hang out, like our meetings aren't with your meetings, that type of thing. So like really it's just who you're sitting next to in the locker room. And like today I even had a kid go, "Hey, how many years you got left?" I was like, "Mate, I'll be here longer than you." But it's a joke, but it really is weird, like, because people do stuff and you're looking at it and you're like, come on, mate, like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
But then you look at it and you're like, it's only stupid because I did it 10 years ago and I know how stupid it is. Like, so that's hard. The navigation side of it is like, I DJ'd for 10 years. So like downtown Greenville, yeah, cool, but like, I don't want to go out and hang out in a line for 40 minutes to get into Bob's or wherever it is. Like, I never hung out in a line. Like, I walked in, I went and worked, and partied and did whatever. So whereas now, like, I can't go and do everything that these kids are trying to do. I'm like, oh, let's go to Crush. Like I saw you last week. It's like, let's go to Crush and sit down and have a nice espresso martini. And they're like, oh, let's go to Stills. It's like, I'm not part of that group.
Yeah. Even I'm 25 now, and like Crush has done a really good job of, shameless plug here, of just like making it kind of like the older bar where like you can just go and kind of chill and not be like when you're in there.
You're not getting drinks spilled on you, even though I still did. So,
Kate, what do you have?
You mentioned Tom a few times. Was Tom ever mad at you that you get the chance to play American ball and he didn't get the chance?
I think this is why this guy has been my friend and will be my friend forever, is that it doesn't matter what I do or how I do it. He is happy for me. Even if he doesn't have success in whatever he's doing or how he's doing it, he is the one person that I've met that has been genuinely happy for me or, you or whoever it is that is in his life, happy for them to succeed and at whatever level that they do, and is always there to support. So it's one of those things I just couldn't be more thankful for a friend like that.
That's all. He plugged you in too.
He made it happen. When I said, no, I'm too old, he was like, no, you got to do it. So I'm very appreciative for that guy.
All right, and then let's shift over, like, obviously that's your story. Now let's shift over to ECU football story of you went through a coaching firing, obviously Coach Houston. We all played for Coach Houston. We all somehow played for Coach Harold, even though he was just defense coordinator. Like, we never, like, he wasn't just our coach, but we were under him of some sort. Like, how do you think he is going to do being the head coach here? And then, like, how's this season been kind of like weird for you? It was a weird season. Y'all still had a good year, but it was a weird season.
Absolutely. On Harold and how I think he's going to go, everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
I didn't even see a live game of football until the first game against UCF.
That's insane.
I'd never seen a live game. And I still kicked a 47-yard ball. So, like, everyone is going to do what they can do, and they're going to give their best effort. And there's no question there as to whether that guy has ECU and the players in his heart. Like, it's not just talk. It's not lip service. The guy genuinely wants this university to do well. And that's partly because, like, his kids are growing up here.
Yeah.
You know, as an older person, I'm sitting there and looking at him and his family. Like, you look at the daughters. I remember when they got here and they were, you know, little
They're
kids.
small, yeah.
Tiny kids. And now they're, 10, 12 years old. And this has been their home for a huge part and chunk of them growing up. So there's nothing that's going to sway me to think that guy's not going to give it his all. And I just hope there's enough people to help him be successful because he deserves it. This program deserves it.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
What's the biggest thing you've liked since he's taken over that he's implemented for the team?
You can definitely see that there's a change and a shift in the pressure, and that's perceived pressure. That's all that this sport is that I think is perceived pressure. There's no one sitting there telling you stress about this, stress about that, but everyone's different stresses really just build on each other. And I think the thing that's changed is he was like, hey, look, we're here together. We're doing this together. Seniors be together. Like, I would never have thought that I'd have a chance to be, seen as a team captain, just because of, as you said before, that I'm a little bit older and I'm even though I might lead in certain ways, I'm on the side. I let people do what they're doing. But Harold yesterday at our banquet, or the other day at our banquet, all the seniors were recognised as team captains.
That's awesome, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, it's
massive moment. So I'm thankful for that, and that's one thing that has changed. He's made it about us.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then I know someone you were close with was Big John, and we were texting this morning. Obviously, the news broke that we're releasing this, a day from now. So this news broke on Monday that Big John was being relieved of his duties, and that was kind of shocking to players, but like now kind of being on the media side of it, and not necessarily the media side of it because we're kind of view things a little bit differently, but like hearing things outside of just what the players see it, like it wasn't that big of a shock. How was that team meeting just telling him that? Because I got a call Monday morning, 7:00 in the morning of the news, and it hadn't broke yet. And then we actually talked about it a little bit, and I'm like, look, I'm not breaking this because we've been players before where news broke on Twitter before we found out, just like y'all did with Coach Houston, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And that's where I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this. So how was that? And then just talk about y'all's relationship.
Yeah, so as a business person, you can see it. And I don't mean from performance. I don't mean it from anything other than it's a new staff. It has to be seen as a new staff. So there needs to be changes in some key positions.
Yep.
Not based on what they've done or how they've done it, but based on like this is now how we're going to do it. And we need to show, not just show, but we need to actively try and change a lot of things. Now, Big John, when I first got here, and the first probably up until end of spring 22, we did not get along at all. Like I'm talking, like I hated going into that weight room just because like it was just a different experience for me. I'd never been in a structured environment like that, where it's like no matter what you do, it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's based on the fact of that everyone's there to get better. Oh, you did really good today? Well, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Someone else did the same thing you did. And it wasn't even conversations like that. It was just that was the mentality that I wasn't having at that point in time. So, post that period and, I hadn't really done much up until 22 is when I first really started. And so the spring, they were kind of like, you know what? If you think that you can do what you want to do, like go ahead, do it. And they went and, tried to replace me. But I didn't see it as that at the time. I was like, I'm getting free reign here. I can, go and lift and do whatever. And I got given a time that I'd go in there and do it. And I ended up dropping like 25 pounds and started kicking some bombs again. And all of a sudden, like Big John and I got on the same page because he worked out that like I was there to try and win.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to like take an easy ride. And so we got on the same page and, I would have regular discussions with him, whether it be every week, whether it be every 2 months, never the same interval. But that man helped me realize, and it's not just realize, it helped me bounce ideas off that I was having. about getting better and how to do that and how everyone's in a different position. And we've got 120 guys in there.
Yeah.
So for him to try and help everyone individually get where they need to be, you're not going to get it all 120. There might be 5, there might be 10, there might be 2 that drop off in one aspect or another. And then there might be 5 or 10 or 20 that excel. And it's about getting more people to excel and bring along the back end of it, rather than just going up, that group's no good. That group's the good group. Like it was trying to get everyone to mold together. And I'd sat there and he'd be making calls to say New Zealand. And he'd be always talking to people in the same type of position or performance.
Yeah.
Trying to get himself better. And I saw that, and I don't think a lot of people saw that part of Big John. And people just saw the guy that stood there and was like, do this. Hey, Coach Farmer, tell them to do this. And kind of just sat back doing his own thing, big dude. And then I'd walk in, I'd see him repping out 350 on the bench. Dude's an animal.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the part of being able to sit there and listen to him learn, and also to sit there, and I saw times where he learned off me. And that's probably the most special relationship I've had here, even though it started off as
not good.
Oh my God. I thought it was either I was gone because this guy didn't like me. But at this point where I'm sitting here right now, I haven't spoken to him since he was broken or anything like that. But that's a dude I'll forever thank for helping me get through this.
Yeah, and that's what I think people don't realize is how hands-on a strength and conditioning coach is. And they're more during the off season, they're with the team more than the head coaches, more than any coaching are. And really they're more with the team probably more than the head coach all season is. I mean, they're literally with you every single day. Those are the guys who implement the culture. Now, as like you said, business-wise, look, Coach Harrell has to implement his own culture. And Big John was brought in by Coach Houston, but so was Coach Harrell. I mean, they're you can't say that necessarily, but that is a shift where Coach Harrell can implement a different culture with just one position move rather than firing the whole staff. Yes. He can make that one move, pluck him, and put his own guy in, and that's a whole different culture.
Yeah, I can put it into a similar situation. Like I said, I was a national transport manager. If that company has 750 machines and you have a maintenance manager who works after those machines, and all of a sudden you sell the company or someone else comes in management, and the main thing that you get is hey, your performance, so us on the field or those machines out on the work site needs to change. We need to change it. What do? You hire a new maintenance manager, and it's not because the one before is no good or has no idea. You've got to make a change somewhere, and for the Coach Harrell, and that's
kind of what it looks like. Cool.
I gotta ask, how fired up are the guys to play state?
I'm not gonna lie, we owe them a little bit of get back. I think.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I can't wait for the game.
Good. Yeah, we were texting about it, and I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure y'all are playing state, and you're like, if we play state, we'll be ready. So.
Absolutely. Been getting the Holt nailers. I'm warm up. No, I'm kidding.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I wish.
Let's go, dude. Well, appreciate you joining, man. It's been fun to be your teammate and then obviously watch you, so appreciate you.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate you guys.
That Luke Larsen interview is brought to you by Anson Belt. Make sure you go to AnsonBelt.com for over 10,000 combinations of micro-adjustable holeless belts. Look, you can mix and match the belt and the buckle. If you're an ECU fan and you need a gift for Christmas, holy cow, why would you not? Everyone who puts one of these on, including me, including Caden, including any of our fans who have gotten one, all tweet and say, you're right, we should have listened far long ago. Make sure you go to Anson Belt Came. We're big fans of them.
Huge fans. I was looking for a gift for my dad actually last week, and I said Anson Belt's the right way. He wears belts all the time, and I went to AnsonBelt.com.
For Christmas?
For Christmas.
Nice. Your dad watches the podcast. You just spoiled the present.
He'll miss it.
Appreciate Anson Belt, AnsonBelt.com. Next, want to give a shout out to Kyra's Float and Wellness Studio. Me and Cade went to go float. Look, zero gravity, total darkness. Just float. It feels, when you get out of it, it feels like you slept for 24 hours. A lot of college coaches actually do it, including Lincoln Riley. They also got sauna, cold tub, salt halo therapy in there too. Caden, it's a cool place to go.
It's a great place to go. I actually last week did an experiment. I didn't sleep for 2 days, went in there and felt refreshed.
There we go. Did you actually? This guy's a freaking animal. Caden, that interview was really, really good. And I thought, first of all, he is very easy to talk to. I thought it'd be sick. Look, he's a fifth-year guy. His story is just too cool not to talk about right before he leaves. So I thought it was a really good, interview.
He could have had a boring story, but listening to Luke Larson's accent, hearing the Aussie, 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 oi, 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 that was pretty good. I enjoyed it. And just hearing his story, like a totally different recruiting process, a totally different whole, to like his view to football. Didn't watch a game till being in a game. I didn't know that about Luke. I remember, like Luke said, when we were off there, me and Luke had a little battle for holding competition. My senior year, his freshman year. Gave me a nice little shout out, but like just seeing him still here, seeing like the maturity he has as a player compared to a lot of guys like we know, it was just awesome to talk to him.
I think it's also cool and says a lot about Greenville that like he's like, yeah, mate, I still want to stay in Greenville when I'm done, mate.
That blew me away.
Isn't that wild? That like he comes from Australia to little old Greenville, North Carolina. Is like, yeah, I want to plant roots here.
Hey, that's what I did.
Me too.
I know, but seeing someone from Melbourne, I would never have guessed it.
Yeah, that's cool. And I just said me too. I feel like a lot of people have asked me before, like, how did I stay home? Like, how was it? Like, growing up, I grew up in Grimesland, really. Obviously, my dad's the announcer here. So, like, yes, I was around ECU athletics more than most people, like, kids were. Like, I remember Dad and Ruff were friends when, like, early Ruff days. And I would, like, go to practice. I met Shane Carden and Justin Hardy. I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. But I wasn't around campus at all. So, like, when I came to ECU as an athlete, like, it was cool because it was like another world, even though I was 15 minutes away from mine. So that, I don't know why I just thought to talk about that, but that was pretty cool. And then Caden, the big news, obviously, there's a couple transfer portal guys, which we'll get to, but Big John leaving is going to make an impact, a bigger impact than people think. Now, am I saying it's negative or positive? It just depends who you hire, really. That's what it comes down to, is it depends who you hire. As a business, as Luke said, though, it makes sense in the fact that if Harold wants to make his own culture, like that's the easiest position to put someone in to create his own culture.
I think Luke hit the nail on the head when he said it. That's the one position, one that Harold has to make his change. There's a lot of guys that it just fits right now. The whole staff just fits. But where does like every coach make their change? You build your culture day in and day out in the strength room. And like Luke said, it doesn't mean you were doing your job bad. It's just like, hey, I need a change here, and I want to build my culture and have a guy that's going to instill that. And one thing a lot of people, like you tweeted, big shakeup. It was a big shakeup. Some people didn't see it as a big shakeup, but if you really know college football, the strength coach has their hands on the players and probably have a better relationship with every player up and down the depth charts than your head football coach. So crazy shakeup. Big John, great coach. I mean, he was a great guy. I think that was the one area, if I saw any firing or any change coming, I saw that the whole time. And I was actually shocked, honestly, that he didn't do it sooner. And I know they probably wanted to get through the season, and it makes sense now because you have to find time to, one, respectfully probably let him find a job as well, but beat other coaches to the shakeup and hopefully get the coach that you guys want.
Yeah, and look, one thing that Big John's biggest strength, and I don't know if a lot of people know this fan-wise, is like he was very, very good keeping the culture. And Coach Houston and Big John are not the same, and now Coach Harrell and Big John are not the same. I'm just talking about with my experience. But like Big John was very good at mad players after, for some reason, being mad at the football coaching staff, would go talk to Big John and his staff about it, and Big John would calm them down with the whole mindset of he is fully intertwined with the football staff and whatever they said, but he voiced it differently for the other players to calm down, to still want to stay there. That's a big part of with NIL and revenue sharing nowadays. Like that is a big part of that position, is being someone approachable, and he certainly was.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Part of it's why I wonder how many people might have left because of Big John left. I know we will never know that, but I know, like exactly what you said, there's a lot of guys that probably didn't like Houston that stayed all those years because they had a really tight relationship with Big John. Now, of course, Harold's going to bring a guy that's probably going to have a different relationship, but that's a good thing to call out. It's just like he had so many tight guys that it's like, oh, that we're probably talking, hey, that guy's out of here, that guy's out of here, but somehow Big John built that relationship. And one thing he's also good at is, I remember from our days, because when I was there, we lost a lot, is after those losses, just those sit-down meetings he had, and just reflecting on the game. We never did that under Coach Mo. We never did that with Coach Connors. But I always thought that was pretty interesting, like talking, just sitting down the Sunday morning after a loss or a win. We had a few of those. And just reflecting on what went wrong in the game, what went good, and just calling out each player. I really like that. And the weekend practice, because most guys like me who didn't play, he would call that out even on losing games. Like, hey, you did really good this week in practice as well.
Yeah, and then obviously the transfer portal too. Look, there's going to be guys that continue to go. Just welcome to it. I mean, I hate to say it. Seeing Zakai Barker leave obviously was not a good one. Chase Sowell, not a good one you're thrilled about. IBM, I don't understand him as much. I really don't. Look, Zakai was at an all-conference level. Chase Sowell's a 6'4", 205 receiver that can run. So those I understood, like maybe they could go get paid a lot of money. I'm not saying IBM won't get paid because I've already heard that he's talked to some schools even before he entered. But it's just tough. And we were talking to Luke off air, and we were like, is that because of Big John left? Because it was news right after. And he was like, yeah, it probably had something to do with it. And we were like, do you think they would have left either way? And he was like, yeah, probably. But it was probably just like icing on the cake of, yeah, this probably is my time to move on.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, like, with this new transfer portal, year in, year out, I saw a lot of people mad on X. A lot of people are just upset, like, oh, I thought we kept Terrell to keep these guys. It doesn't matter. We could go 11-1 next year. You're still going to lose your top guys. We can go 3-9. You're still going to lose your top guys. That's going to happen every year until there's some sort of regulation around the NIL, buyouts, or something like that. It's just going to happen. It's something we just got to get used to. How can we keep those guys? Some guys you can keep, some guys you can't keep. But it's just something that's going to happen each year. And it's like, it's not shocking. Were you shocked by any of those guys? I think IBM was the only one I was shocked about.
Zakai. I was shocked about Zakai. Yeah, I thought he was going to be the face of really the defense for years to come. And he played really, really well. I was very impressed with him. And that's the one guy that I was shocked about.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna fault someone for leaving if they have a chance to make money. I'm never faulting a guy for that.
Listeners, you guys are gonna call me and Caden soft for this, but if you got offered a $200,000 pay raise to go to your rival company, and not these guys aren't going to the rivals, by the way, just to another company, everyone would go. Let's just be honest here. Like, that's what college athletics is nowadays. Until there's rules in place, loyalty. I stayed, but I was towards the end of NIL. Did I get offered six figures? Yes, but nothing like these guys are getting offered. I'm not saying these guys specifically, just in general. But the days of having 4 or 5 year starters, especially if they're starters early and all conference guys early, you don't got to enter the portal anymore to hear from teams. You don't got to enter the portal anymore to have offers. Like, you're going to hear about through back channels about those things, and that's what sucks about college athletics now.
One thing I want to call out is on X, like a week or 2 weeks ago, I saw someone call it Shane Calhoun. It was like Shane Calhoun transferred to Texas A&M, and he's gotten 2 snaps this year. One, like you said, it's about, hey, even if it's like $40,000 to $60,000, that's life changing money. If you invest that right and use that money the right way,
22 years old,
yeah, that's gonna set you up for a few years down the road. At least have a safety net for you. That's one way to look at it. 2, a guy like Shane or some of these other guys who might be going to other big schools. Shane was a bio major. Texas A&M is one of the best bio grad schools in the entire nation. Another thing about Texas A&M, one of the best all-time alumni associations. Those guys are a cult. Now, not everyone's going to Texas A&M, but like these guys are doing it for more reasons than just playing football sometimes. Sometimes it is money, and some people don't come from nothing, and then that's a huge setup for them. It's a lot of times what's best for them personally, and it's going to happen each and every year. How do you keep the guys? That's the biggest thing we need to look on as fans.
100%. And look, we want guys to stay here, and I just think the biggest thing is like do everything you can to keep a guy here, but also praise the guys that stay here. Yep. The Shavons, the Raj, like guys who stay here, appreciate them and make them feel loved, whether it's on social media, any game, go to the games for one, support them, like make them feel loved, because in today's world, you're seeing true freshmen after their first year enter the portal. Like, everyone has an option to leave now, and the guys who stay, just appreciate them. But we certainly believe there's a lot to stay here for. I don't think there's another university in the world. I know there wouldn't that I would go to. I'd love to play here 1,000 more years. And there's something about Pirate Nation, and there's some guys that see that and value that, and there's some guys that see a dollar sign and value that more, where other people like us, maybe not. You just never know.
I think senior day should have like a new meaning behind them. You're like senior day for your 2-year players, senior day for your 3-year players, and then when it gets like 4 and 5, everyone goes nuts for the 4 and 5 year players.
No, 100%. That's a great idea. But and then Caden, obviously the last news before we get to the Twitter questions is ECU versus State in the bowl game. Dude, I'm pumped. The one game I wish I could have back in my career and just go play again is a State game. And look, I could have played better that game, but just the ending, like, I mean, everyone knows it. We don't got to talk about it, but like we owe them. Let's go up there. Let's play good. We will be in attendance. We're going the 27th through 29th.
I'm pumped.
We have a game day of our own at MGM Craps Table that we're going to be there until the actual game day. So fans, if you want to chill with the boys, have a couple beers, DM one of us. We will make it happen.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've never experienced an ECU bowl. I wasn't on the pleasure of being on the team when we made the bowl game, and I was right out of college and didn't have the finances back then to go to the bowl. So I'm really thrilled to do that. And then 2, thrilled to meet some of you guys. And then 3, freaking NC State. They've done us dirty the last, 3 matchups?
Yeah.
The one I played in my most career in football, they did us the dirtiest doing a center sneak for a touchdown. But I can't wait to go up there and kick their
All right, let's go. We're going to have to bleep that out. But yeah, we'll get more into detail. We're going to actually have an episode just for that, probably next week, if not the week after. So be on the lookout for that. But we at least just want to give our initial thoughts. Now let's get to the Twitter questions. Do we have them ready? Let's see. Got to squint the eyes again. Preparing myself. Are we still allowed to sing Loyal and Bold during our school's fight song? It seems to me loyalty is a thing of the past in college sports. Yes. I mean, look, that isn't just players. I mean, that's alumni. That's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are loyal to ECU, including us, Caden, including all the people probably watching this podcast. Look, there's going to be more guys entering the portal. I think the NCAA needs to do something about that. But like we just said, appreciate the people who are staying here because those people have a choice every single year to stay here, and they continue are.
I agree. It goes way bigger than just college athletics. There's so many people that love this university that are just normal students. And yeah, let's sing Loyal and Bold. But I think senior day, like I said a second ago, let's make senior day 2-year seniors. Woo! But 4 and 5 years, go nuts for them.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Pirate Road to the college football playoffs. Well, this is a doozy. All right, here we go, Adam Voss. Is the athletic department taking the search for a new voice of the Pirates seriously? This seems to have been getting kicked down the road. Hearing Jeff Charles was a major part of enjoying athletics at ECU. And it seems we are dropping the ball by not locking in someone and depriving this generation of Pirates of someone they identify with when ECU athletics win. Could you imagine your time around ECU without the voice? I certainly couldn't. No, I certainly couldn't either. Jeff Charles was a very good friend of mine, and I've told the story a lot that he was always the first person I talked to after wins or losses, after games. He'd be the first media person I talked to, and I appreciate him a lot. I hope they're taking it seriously. Honestly, I'm not positive. I know the guy we got now is pretty good, and I've appreciated him, whether we put him in long-term or go get someone else. But that is a big position. I think that's something a lot of people appreciate. And even like my dad being the announcer for the stadium and stuff like that, that's something like I appreciate, and I hope other people are too, of like someone being here that long like Jeff Charles was, and then as my dad is now. Appreciate the question, though, and the support. Next question we have is from Zach. I believe that's Zach. NC Pirate 13. Do you think some of these players are going because they saw Siobhan turn down big money and get hurt, so they're trying to get cash in while it's guaranteed? Honestly, that is a good question. Siobhan's still going to get paid. I mean, he's getting drafted in the first round. Now, him turning down money and then getting hurt is probably scary to the guy that's not going to go in the first round, which is probably these guys that are in the portal. So, yes and no. I think any time in life when you can get guaranteed money for doing the same thing you're doing, like it's probably, or guaranteed more money too, is probably not the worst idea. But I think that maybe have a little bit to do with it.
I think that does have a little bit to do with it. Again, that is a good call out, Zach. But then again, I think it always comes back to each player has their own personal reasons for transferring. Some of it's just, hey, I'm getting money and I can play big time P4 football. That's part of it as well.
Yeah. Next question we have. Appreciate it, Zach. Joseph Anderson, how do you guys think Harold and the staff will attack recruiting for young athletes in the 252? That is a big one. I think locking down the 252. There's a lot of really good high schools around here, and even the walk-ons is a big one. Like Justin Hardy was a walk-on from the 252, and like getting guys that are from here, that love here, that are rooted in here, that will give everything they can because they know their family is depending on them and they know their friends are depending on them. That's something that motivated me a ton, and I know like CJ, it motivated him a lot, and some other guys that I played with. So I think that's a huge deal. What do I think he'll do? I think he'll try to lock down the 252. I think that's what you got to do at ECU.
I think he's really going to focus on that 252. I think the biggest reason that this area has lost a lot of good recruits is ECU's been bad for a few years. I know back in rough and the eras when ECU was on their runs, we lost some recruits then, but a big thing is ECU being good. Like, I want to go to a school that's good. A lot of people won't think that, and I think that's a big reason. And then I love your call out there on the walk-ons. If walk-ons are still a thing in the next 5 to 10 years, but locking down the gritty players, there's one thing. All walk-ons are. I haven't met a walk-on that wasn't gritty. Walking down a gritty player, and then 2, getting someone from Eastern North Carolina. The rest of the state looks down on ECU and Eastern North Carolina. You get those 2 together, you're going to find a pretty good player.
For sure. Appreciate it, Joseph Anderson. I think it's your first time asking a question, so appreciate the support, brother. Josh Jackson says, why is everyone leaving after fighting for Blake Harrell to get the job? And second, the loyal and bold question someone had, no such thing anymore. There's still plenty of loyal. There's probably more loyal Pirates than non-loyal Pirates, for one. Number 2, about fighting for Blake Harrell and then entering the portal. Look, if your boss gets fired and your manager you think would be a great new boss, and you fight for that manager, but you still don't feel like you're a fit for the company and you leave, that doesn't mean you don't think the manager's still going to be good. Did I word that right? I think I did. I don't think you think I did, but I think I did. You got anything to say on that?
I do kind of agree with him. I think it's kind of weird.
It is weird, but I'm just saying, like, you can still support a person. And
I agree.
Know
you
that
can
you're
still
not.
support a person because, I mean, shoot, I only played with him for, 2 years, and I know he's a good coach. I know he's a genuine person. You're right there, but it is weird to go die hard on Twitter and then leave. I agree with him. I don't understand it either.
Next question. Appreciate the support, Josh. Charles says, what's the main reason why players are leaving? Is it money, internal issues, playing time? Probably all, to be honest with you. I mean, look, every situation is different. Like, just being in a college locker room, in a football locker room, like, every single person, we just sat there and talked to Luke, and, like, he had such a different life than we did, and we were on the same team in the same locker room. So, like, some may be money, some may be they don't like a coach. Not saying Coach Harrell, I'm just saying, like, this is just typical transfer questions. And then playing time, too, that is a big one. And then some may just want to move from Green. There's 1,000 different reasons kids are transferring nowadays.
It's all everyone's personal.
Yeah. Next question. Appreciate the support, Charles. Definitely ask another question, man. James Baker. Holt, what are your thoughts on Memphis? Seth Hennigan breaking your AAC passing record? Don't worry, I'm still trying to find you some eligibility. Yeah, I'm happy for him. Me and Seth have actually stayed in touch since we played. Played him, I think, twice. Great dude. Believe it or not, Caden, Trent Holler, a transfer of East Carolina, blocked for me and blocked for Seth. So he's part of number 1 and 2 in the all-time leading passing record. But congrats to Seth. Great guy from everything I've heard and the communication that I've had. We've stayed in contact, so I'm definitely happy for him. Look, records are meant to be broken. I'm just glad I could be a part of that. Appreciate the support, James. What the hell's going on, dude? I don't know. Welcome to college athletics, Tommy. That's what's going on. Next question. Awesome Vol says, is the athletic department taking the search for a new voice? Oh, we just went over that one. We got another one. We just went over that one. The most difficult question of all is why? Why? Well, Redbeard, I don't know what you're asking why about. Probably Big John or transfers, which we just got into. Get used to saying that a little bit more.
Why?
Because there's a lot of things going on in today's college athletics that you're probably going to ask. Why? Caden's not locked in. I just feel, I just set you up there. Next question. Perry Ditch says, so the team rosters and coaches that won enough games to be selected to a bowl are not the team's coaches that will play in bowl games. Tough on the fans, but will support our team. I mean, yes and no. Like, it sucks. Like, Big John's not going to be there for the bowl game. Like, that does suck for him. Like, he's put a lot into it. And then the players entering the portal, that's their decision to do that. Now, I will say the portal windows probably need to be adjusted to allow guys to do this, because these guys, I'm sure, want to play in the bowl game, but I know the portal window opened today, so it's like almost impossible for them to play in that bowl game, or actually it is impossible for them to play in the bowl game and still have a place to go. January, I think 6th is when new transfers move in to their new school. So it's just it's not them saying I don't want to play in the bowl game. Well, it is, but it's them saying, like, if you're going to transfer, the only time to realistically transfer and find a spot, you got to enter before December 29th, which is when they would if they played in the bowl game. I know a lot of people won't understand that, like, they're like, as a fan, they're like, yeah, but you gave so much. And, like, I agree. And that's where, like, if you're a leader in that team, you got to get guys. I actually was talking to Jack Powers about that today, who was talking to one of the captains on the team who's coming back next year. And we were just like, dude, you got to talk to these guys and literally make them know that, like, you do not need to enter the portal. Everything you need is here at ECU. Stay here and win. We have a huge game. Could be a record-breaking game in the Military Bowl, like an all-time game. Why would you not want to play to that? That's what you come to college. The grass ain't always greener. And the guys who left, and we just talked about, a couple of them, like, there's other things outside of football where maybe the grass is greener, but there's a lot of really, really good things you want to be a part of here, and I just don't understand why you would leave right now unless you're, like, legit not playing and you're going to go down a level. If you're trying to go up, man, just stay here and ball out.
I'm going to pivot this question to sports betting. Man, as a 40-22 on the year, as an elite college football sports bettor myself, it's tough on seeing what players are actually in the portal, key players for other teams I'm looking at around there, so I don't like it myself.
Good. I think that's all the questions, guys. Appreciate you for supporting the pod. Continue to support it. We're going to release a Just Bowl podcast here within the next 2 weeks, so make sure you're locked into that. Make sure you follow at Holt Ayler Show on X. Appreciate all the sponsors for support as well. Continue to support us. We'll see you next week.